Forgiveness is one of the hardest things for any human being to really find freedom in or from. And my heart goes out to whoever is asking the question, because you wouldn't ask the question if you weren't dealing with it.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't need to forgive if there wasn't some kind of a violation or broken trust that had taken place. Right. And any of us who've been on the receiving end of that in a relationship that they care about know how deeply that can hurt and anger and disappoint you. I think it would be really unloving to ever give the impression that forgiveness can be figured out with a simple or easy answer. And that's the last thing we would want to do. But I do think that coming back to what the scripture says gives us a foundation that can be built upon. And Matthew 18 is a parable that Jesus tells of the servant that is forgiven this great debt that he owes his master, and then goes and finds a fellow servant and puts him in prison because he can't repay a minuscule debt in comparison to the one that he had been forgiven. And the lesson that Jesus is teaching is summed up in verse 32. The king called in the man that he had forgiven and said, "You evil servant, I forgave you that tremendous debt because you pleaded with me." Here's the lesson. Shouldn't you have mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had mercy on you? And where forgiveness begins, it's not in forgetting.
Right.
It's not in minimizing the offense or the debt that owes to you. It's in remembering the immense forgiveness and mercy, love that's been extended to you from the Father through Jesus. And that doesn't answer all your questions. But that has to be the place that you continue to come back. And if you can think about your own relationship with the Father and not be overwhelmed by gratitude for what you've been forgiven and the love that He's shown you, then you're always going to get stuck and just be angry when you think about the debts that are owed to you by people that you care about. And so I want to encourage you not to think that seeing a Christian counselor is a bad idea.
Yeah.
To talking to a pastor that can help you navigate, talking to a wise Christian friend. All of those are great resources to help you navigate what forgiveness looks like.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we just don't know how.
Right.
To get unstuck, because you're not just dealing with a debt, you're dealing with pain, you're dealing with disappointment, you're dealing with broken trust. And all of those things need to be rebuilt, and it can take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage you to start with the remembrance of God's incredible, and it's more than you know, His love for you.
Yeah.
And also, don't be afraid to ask for help, to know how to walk forgiveness out and rebuild trust and find a fruitful and joyful relationship with your spouse again.
Yeah. I would also say, forgive as much as you know how for today. I know that there have been some situations where, I've worked through with the Lord and come to a place where I genuinely am, I am laying this at Jesus' feet and I'm forgiving with as much as I know how right now in this moment. And then something happens, or a memory, and all of a sudden I'm feeling all of these things again, and I'm thinking, man, I'm a failure. Did I not forgive? And now I'm feeling all of this again, and I have to go through this again. And finally the Lord just gave me grace and a release from that. And I'm learning that it's okay, as much as I am able to forgive right now, forgive. And then the next time I need to forgive, as much as I can and understand how and am able, I will forgive. And I found it's kind of like peeling away an onion sometimes, where you work on getting some of that hurt and that pain and that forgiveness taken care of, and then you realize, oh, there's another layer. I didn't even realize it was there. And I think sometimes that's just God's kindness and gentleness with us, to not say, let's cut that whole thing open right now, but like, I'm going to help you figure out how to pull this whole thing apart, and I'm going to do it gently. Just do what you know to do right now, and there's grace for the part you don't know how to do yet, and then tomorrow he'll be with you as you work on the next piece. So give yourself grace, because the Lord has given you grace and forgiveness and mercy in your journey of forgiveness, and do what you can do right now.